What is up, guys? Stark here. I am back for day 15 of the 25 Days of Fate, and in today's video we're going to be doing another character spotlight, and for this one we're going to be doing the spotlight for the 5-star ruler Qinshi Huang. So Mothman, as we like to call him, and I will be addressing him as such throughout the rest of this video, is, as I said, a 5-star ruler, and he is, in my opinion, a really good character, and one of the better characters in the game, especially for soloing. I think he shines really good as like a solo character, kind of up there with like Phantasm, and you know, his kit is basically geared towards him soloing. I think maybe that was the intended focus, with him being like the sole emperor. You know, you don't need anyone else but himself to take care of the job, so let's go ahead and make this character a solo character, because he can basically rule the entire planet by himself, at least as far as story lore goes. That, I think that was the direction they wanted to go with him, and I think they nailed they hit the hammer on the head. I don't know the actual term there, I kind of just forgot it mid-sentence, but I think they did a good job with actually like reflecting his story lore as a character. Anyway, though, as far as stats go, he has 15,828 HP and 9,977 attack. This will rank him 7th overall in HP and 84th overall in attack. His star absorption is 100, star generation is 10%, so that's basically pretty average. And then his noble phantasm gain on his attack is 0.47, and on defense, gonna have 3%. So, as a ruler, Mothman pretty much is like a tank on his own, but his kit really focuses on like debuffing the enemies as well as increasing his own like offensive capabilities. So he's really hard to kill, and that's pretty much why he's like so good at soloing. He's a very tough kill, and his first skill is going to be one of the reasons for that, and that's going to be able to decrease the gauge, noble phantasm gauge, of all of your enemies for 1 turn. This will also decrease the defense for all of those enemies for 3 turns. So right there, you do have a way to get rid of the enemy's noble phantasm by decreasing the charge. So, you know, the easiest way to kill Mothman would be to hit him with a noble phantasm, and his kit does a very good job at preventing the enemy from firing that noble phantasm. So this is a really good one there. And then he also does have the decrease to defense, which will make him be able to kill the enemies a little bit easier. Now, his skill is on an 8-turn charge time at max level, or like a minimum level, 6-turn at max level. So that's a little bit high, but at the end of the day, you know, having that 1 or 2 extra turn of waiting time isn't really a big deal. But, you know, it would be nice to be able to have his skills a little bit lower of cooldown, but I guess that would just make him even more overpowered than he actually is right now. His second skill has a 70% chance to inflict stun on all enemies for 1 turn. This will also increase his own attack for 3 turns. So this will also be on a 6-turn charge time at maximum level, and it does a 30% increase to your attack for 3 turns, which is really nice. However, the percentage-based stun chance there is always going to annoy me, and I hate it. I wish it would just be flat stun percentage, but it's not, so, you know, it is what it is there. But 70% is pretty good. More often than not, you are going to get it to trigger, and you know, that's another way to stop them from, you know, even attacking him or using their noble phantasm. If you're ready for using noble phantasm and your first skill is on cooldown, then you can go ahead and launch this and, you know, use a potential stun, and then like on the following turn you could go ahead and use, you know, your mystic code to stun as well, if that's like, if you're using the plug suit for that. And theoretically, you can get 3 turns of just bypassing noble phantasms, and hopefully by that chance, like by that time, you'll be able to get the enemy killed. And then his third and final skill is going to increase his own noble phantasm gauge. This will also remove his own debuffs and recover his HP. So another really good skill here, he has an MP battery built in, so he'll be able to get his noble phantasm charged even faster. He'll be able to heal himself a little bit, and then removing debuffs is just fantastic. Now this is also on a 6-turn charge time, which again is a little bit high considering the effects last for 1 turn. So there's going to be a lot of downtime, but the fact is, like, I just mentioned a 3-turn combo where you could theoretically, not even have the enemy hit you with Noble Phantasms or attacks, 2 turns of stuns, and then, we'll get to his Noble Phantasm a little bit later, but you'll be able to, like, lead into his Noble Phantasm. So it's a really good flow, a really good kit of skills, and once we do get to his Noble Phantasm, you'll see why it's going to be that hard, like, so much harder for him to be killed. For his passives, though, he does only have 1 passive, so he does have that magic resistance for, debuff resistance by 18%, so it is what it is there, but anyway. So yeah, Mothman, as a ruler, really good character. He doesn't need a whole lot to level up, and if you are watching this video at the time of the recording, there is a lottery right now which is going on, which will be able to get pretty much everything you need to level him up if you do have him. So, now's the perfect time to level him up. Anyway, as for his skills, his overall ranking for his skills, I'm going to give him 4.5 stars. And this is just due to the fact that he doesn't have a full stun chance. It's a percentage-based chance for his stun. So anytime that happens, I always take at least half a point off because I hate it. And maybe that's just a personal bias thing, but I really do think that it's stupid. So for his command card deck and his Noble Phantasm, for his command card deck, he is going to have 1 quick, 2 arts, and 2 buster. And he's got some pretty good hit counts as well. 5 on the quick, 4 on the arts, 3 on the buster, and then 4 on the extra attack. And his Noble Phantasm is going to be an arts Noble Phantasm, so you can do arts chains if you need to. And his Noble Phantasm has a lot of effects. Now, it doesn't actually deal damage, but it really doesn't need to, honestly. So you'll be able to apply invincibility to yourself for 1 turn. You'll also get target focus status for 1 turn. You'll be able to increase your critical star strength for 3 turns from 50 to 100% depending on the level. And you'll also be able to increase your critical star gather rate by 300% for 3 turns. And then the overcharge effect will increase your own attack for 3 turns anywhere from 50 to 100%. So here we go. This is kind of leading into what I was talking about earlier, where you have your 3 turns of delaying the enemy from doing anything to you, essentially. And then you hit your invincibility on your Noble Phantasm, and then, you get like a massive increase to your attack, and you'll be able to hit for crits, and then you'll be able to, presumably take out the enemy in that turn. Now, if you are going up against the boss, it's going to be a little bit harder. But at this point, you basically have maybe 1 or 2 turns left for your skills to come off cooldown before you get to do it all over again, and just keep recycling that over and over again. And, with his MP battery giving you a 50% charge at max level, there's really not that much you need to worry about in order to get your Noble Phantasm charged again in like 4 turns. So there's a pretty good looping cycle. Now, yeah, it's kind of like a zombie team where it might be a little bit harder or a little bit longer for the fights, but really he can just kind of go ahead and just take care of a lot of things on his own. And he does have that ruler class built in, so he's going to take naturally low damage to begin with, so it's going to be hard for him to die regardless. So yeah, that's pretty much why he's a solo character in my opinion anyway. But as for his chains, for your damage chain, you're going to go Buster Arts, Buster Extra. For your Noble Phantasm generation, now if you are using him as a solo character, then obviously this chain's not going to work because you don't have the extra arts cards to bring in, but you are going to bring in an extra arts card, and then you're going to use his 2 for a 94% increase to your gauge. 50% of that's factored into his skill, but even if you take that out, 44% is for his skill, or for his just normal generation. And then, if you factor in his skill, that basically gives you like 6% that you need to come up with from somewhere else. So basically, if he gets attacked like twice, he'll get his Noble Phantasm charged in enough time for him to be able to use his Noble Phantasm once again. And then for critical stars, you're going to use 2 extra quick cards, his own quick card, and you'll be able to get 21 critical stars there. So yeah, he does lack a little bit in the department of generating critical stars. He doesn't have any reliable way of doing that. He does increase his gather rate and his strength for the critical stars, but you do need to bring someone in to get the crit stars if if that's what you're trying to use them for. But either way, it's not awful. He'll definitely have a decent amount of stars. It just might not be, like 100% crit levels every single turn. So for his overall damage, I'm going to give him 4.5 stars as well. You know, he is a ruler, so he has really high defense, but he's not very effective against other classes, so he will be hitting pretty neutral on most classes. He does make up for that with his 2 huge attack boost skills, so he kind of offsets that a little bit, which is why he does get that 4.5 instead of a 4 ranking. But, you know, he can still do some pretty good damage, and he'll be able to survive long enough where you can just whittle the enemy down bit by bit if need be, if you're not able to get like that big, you know, attack burst when you have your active skills going on. So either way, it's not going to be a big deal if you can't hit him for some big damage, but he does have that capabilities there if, you know, you're able to pull off a pretty good overcharge on your Noble Phantasm, or if you stack it with his other skill. For his critical ability, I am only going to give him 4 stars. He does have a really good generation for crit strength and gather rate, but he doesn't have a super reliable way of generating those stars, so he does lose a few points there. But, you know, if he does have those stars and if he does land those crits, it's going to do some pretty good damage overall. His Noble Phantasm is going to get the full 5 stars. It's a really good Noble Phantasm, honestly. It has a lot of really good effects. Like, you have attack boost, you have defense boost, and even the target focus that it gives you, if you're not using him as a solo character, is going to be really beneficial. Unless the enemy's using an AoE Noble Phantasm, you'll be able to just tank whatever they're throwing at you, and that'll definitely help keep your team alive a lot longer. His survivability, for the same reason, is going to get 5 stars. You have 2 or 3 turns of basically not taking any damage because the enemies will be stunned, and, you know, he's a ruler class, so built in, he's going to be able to heal himself, you know, just take reduced damage because of that ruler class. Invincibility on the Noble Phantasm, so he's got a lot of stuff built in there. So and he has naturally high HP regardless. So yeah, his survivability is going to be through the roof. He's going to be really hard to kill. As far as support goes, he doesn't have any inherent like built-in support, but he supports his team just because of his skills as a side effect. So being able to stun the enemy team, the enemy wave, presumably, like if you hit all 3 enemies for that stun, then yeah, you're good there. So you're supporting your team just by not having them be attacked. Being able to reduce the charge of the Noble Phantasm is going to be very big as well to keep your enemies or your allies alive. So he supports his team just by like the debuffs that he gives off, but he doesn't inherently like really buff any of his allies. So he doesn't get too high of a ranking there, but still does some little bit of support there. And that will give him an overall ranking of a 4.4 out of 5. He's a fantastic character in my opinion, and I want to solo with him when I get him leveled up and ready to go. So I'm really excited for that. And he's a ruler as well. That definitely, you know, ruler is a really tough class to get. There's not too many rulers out there. Of course, with, you know, ruler Quetzalcoatl coming out, then, you know, a lot of people are going to be able to get her and fill the ruler spot there. But regardless, I do think Mothman is a really good option and definitely someone you should look for. And that's going to be the end of this spotlight, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I do have the links below to my Twitter, Twitch, Patreon, and Discord. So feel free to check that out, as well as the video which should be popping up on your screen momentarily for the 25 Days of Fate Christmas giveaway that I'm running on my channel throughout the month of December. So there's only really 10 days left to get involved with that, now that I think about it. So make sure you click that video, look at all the details for that, and as we get a little bit closer, I will post the official time for the stream so you guys know exactly when to be there for that. But yeah, make sure you look at that video, make sure you get all the rules, and, you know, check out the other 25 Days of Fate videos as well. So, you know, we're 15 days in, it really doesn't feel like 15 days. I do have a bunch of like the big videos coming up in the next couple of days or so. So I usually do like character spotlights in the middle just to like give me a little bit of extra time to put the finishing touches on some of the bigger videos that require a little bit more editing. So these spotlights kind of get me to that point in time. So, but we do have the big videos coming up, so stay tuned for that, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
参考を超越し、御帝を凌駕せし覇者。それこそが始皇帝、すなわち陳である。